The truth is, you will never win in life by being someone you are not. You cannot ever live the life of your dreams by settling for someone else's idea of what you should be doing with your life. You will never ever be happy if you change who you are to fit in with others. Until you accept and embrace who you are destined to live a life that only a mere fraction of your potential. And it is simply impossible to be genuinely happy when you are not genuinely yourself. You must be yourself if you want to experience your true purpose in life. If you are different, be different. Be different and do it with pride. If someone does not like it, if many people do not like it, who cares? Those are not the people for you. There is better. The right people will show up when the real you comes out. There will always be someone prettier. There will always be someone smarter, stronger, richer, younger, but there will never be another you. Kurt Cobain once said, "I would rather be hated for who I am than loved for who I am not." The truth is, you will never be hated by the right people for being real. Being real, being yourself, is the greatest filter you could ever use. It instantly filters out all the people that do not belong with you, and at the same time, it reveals those who do. Bob Marley would say the only problem is people are being hated when they are real and loved when they are faking. It is true, but what is missed here is one very important fact. The people that are hating people for being real or fake people and the people that are loving fake people are the same fake people. Real recognizes real. Real recognizes fake. So, who do you want to attract? Fake people or real people? Be yourself. And I promise you, eventually, you will attract the right people. Be yourself. No matter what has happened to you, no matter who has hurt you, no matter what you believe, be yourself and be kind to others. If you do that, life will turn out far greater than you ever thought possible. If you do not, life will be painful because living a life with a mask on you can't see. Living the life trying to fit in, you will never be complete. Living a life trying to be someone else so other people will like you, you might fit in on the outside, but inside, you all never be complete. You all never be happy. I am different. That is why I win. I am unique, and that is why I'm great. I am not like anyone else on this planet. I am grateful for who I am becoming. I am grateful for who I am. I am committed to be myself and speak my truth at all times. And I know that is the only time the right people will show up in my life. Those who are meant for me will love, support, and be real with the real me. I am done with fake people, and that includes a fake version of me. I will stand tall and stand strong in my purpose and everything that matters to me. I am different. That is why I win. I am me. That is why I win. I am different. Different with pride. If you are different, be different. Be different with pride. Why is this journey so crucial? Because, my friends, in this wild and wonderful world we live in, there's one person you all be spending every single moment with, from the day you are born until the day you die. That person is you. And yet, how many of us can honestly say we know ourselves as well as we should? You see, knowing yourself is not just some lofty philosophical idea. It is the foundation of everything you all ever achieve in life. It is the key to unlocking your potential, to finding true happiness, and to making a real difference in this world. When you know yourself better than anyone else, you become unstoppable. Let me tell you a little story. Years ago, I met a young man who seemed to have it all together on the outside. He had a good job, a nice car, a beautiful home. But when I talked to him, I could see the emptiness in his eyes. He was living someone else's life, following someone else's dreams, and he was miserable. I asked him a simple question. If you could do anything in the world without fear of failure or judgment, what would it be? And you know what? He couldn't answer. He had spent so much time trying to be what others wanted him to be that he had lost touch with his own desires, his own passions. That, my friends, is a tragedy, but it is a tragedy that plays out every single day all around us. People living lives of quiet desperation, never daring to look inside themselves and ask, who am I really? What do I truly want? Today, we are going to change that. We are going to embark on a journey of self-discovery that will transform your life. And I promise you, if you commit to this journey, if you truly dedicate yourself to knowing yourself better than anyone else, your life will never be the same. Why self-knowledge is so powerful. When you know yourself, truly know yourself, you gain an unshakable confidence, not the kind of shallow, boastful confidence that comes from external validation, but a deep inner certainty that comes from understanding your strengths, your weaknesses, your values, and your purpose. This kind of self-knowledge gives you the courage to take risks, to pursue your dreams, to stand up for what you believe in. It allows you to make decisions with clarity and conviction because you know exactly who you are and what you stand for. Think about the great leaders and innovators throughout history. What set them apart was not just their skills or their intelligence. It was their unwavering sense of self. They knew who they were, what they believed in, and what they were capable of. And that knowledge gave them the strength to change the world. Knowing yourself is not a destination. It is a lifelong journey. We are constantly growing, changing, evolving. The person you are today is not the same person you were 5 years ago. And it is not the same person you will be 5 years from now. That's why self-discovery is an ongoing process, a daily practice of introspection and growth. So how do we begin this journey? Well, it starts with asking yourself some tough questions. What are my core values? What principles do I refuse to compromise on, no matter what? What are my true passions? What activities make me lose track of time and fill me with energy? What are my strengths? What comes naturally to me that others find difficult? What are my weaknesses? What areas do I need to improve in? What are my fears? What's holding me back from pursuing my dreams? What legacy do I want to leave behind? How do I want to be remembered? These are not easy questions to answer. They require deep reflection, honesty, and sometimes painful self-examination. But I promise you, the rewards of this self-discovery are beyond measure. Let me give you an example. I once knew a woman who had a successful career in finance. She made good money, had a prestigious title, but something was missing. She felt unfulfilled, like she was just going through the motions. One day, she decided to really dig deep and answer these questions for herself. And you know what she discovered? Her true passion was not in finance at all. It was in teaching. She realized that the moments when she felt most alive were when she was mentoring younger colleagues or explaining complex concepts to clients. This realization changed everything for her. She didn't quit her job overnight. That would have been irresponsible. But she started volunteering as a tutor in her free time. She began looking for opportunities to teach and mentor within her company. And over time, she transitioned into a role that allowed her to combine her financial expertise with her passion for education. The result? She's happier, more fulfilled, and more successful than ever before, all because she took the time to truly know herself. I can already hear some of you thinking, but what if I do not like what I discover about myself? What if I find out I am not as talented or as strong as I thought I was? Self-knowledge is not about judgment. It is not about labeling yourself as good or bad, strong or weak. It is about understanding. It is about acceptance. And most importantly, it is about when you truly know yourself, you can start to work with your strengths and improve your weaknesses. You can align your life with your values and passions. You can make choices that lead to genuine fulfillment, not just temporary pleasure. And here's a secret that many people do not realize. Your weaknesses often hold the key to your greatest strengths. Let me explain what I mean. I once met a young entrepreneur who was struggling to get his business off the ground. He was brilliant when it came to product development, but he was terrible at public speaking. He hated getting up in front of people, stumbled over his words, and couldn't seem to connect with his audience. Many people would have seen this as a simple weakness to be overcome, but this young man did something different. He dug deeper. He asked himself why public speaking was so difficult for him. And he realized it was because he had a deep fear of being misunderstood. This fear of being misunderstood, it turned out, came from a place of caring deeply about clear communication. He hated the idea of his message getting lost or distorted. Instead of just trying to become a better public speaker, he turned this weakness into a strength. He developed a unique presentation style that focused on clarity and precision. He used visuals, demos, and interactive elements to ensure his message was understood perfectly. And you know what? His presentations became legendary in his industry. People would line up to see him speak, not because he was the most charismatic orator, but because they knew they would come away with a crystal clear understanding of complex topic. This is the power of truly knowing yourself. It allows you to turn your weaknesses into strengths, to find opportunity in adversity, to create success on your own terms. Our minds are incredibly powerful tools, but they can also be our worst enemies if we do not understand how they work. Have you ever found yourself procrastinating on an important task, even though you know it needs to be done? Have you ever said something in anger that you immediately regretted? Have you ever set a goal for yourself only to give up when things got tough? These are all examples of how our minds can work against us when we do not understand them. But when you truly know yourself, you start to recognize these patterns. You start to understand why you do the things you do, why you feel the way you feel. And once you understand, you can start to change. You can start to rewire those mental patterns that are not serving you. You can start to cultivate habits and thought processes that push you towards success rather than holding you back. Let me give you a practical example of how this works. I once worked with a talented artist who was struggling with procrastination. She had big dreams, amazing ideas, but she could never seem to finish her projects. She'd start with enthusiasm, but as soon as things got challenging, she'd find excuses to put the work aside. The easy answer would have been to just tell her to stop procrastinating. But that's like telling someone with a broken leg to stop limping. It does not address the root cause. Instead, we dug deeper. We explored her thought patterns, her fears, her beliefs about herself and her work. And you know what we discovered? Deep down, she was terrified of failure. She had this belief that if her finished work was not perfect, it would prove that she was not a real artist. This fear was so strong that her mind had developed procrastination as a protection mechanism. After all, if you never finish anything, you can never fail, right? Once she understood this about herself, everything changed. She realized that her procrastination was not laziness. It was fear, and she could work with fear. She could challenge it, reframe it, overcome it. She started small, finishing tiny projects and sharing them with trusted friends. She learned to embrace imperfection as part of the creative process. She developed mantras and rituals to push through when the fear arose. And bit by bit, she transformed. Not only did she start finishing her projects, but her work became more authentic, more powerful, because now it was not just art, it was a declaration of courage, a triumph over fear. This is the transformative power of self-knowledge. When you understand why you do what you do, you gain the power to change it. Understanding your values. Your values are the principles that guide your decisions, shape your character, and define what's truly important to you. Many people go through life without ever really thinking about their values. They absorb ideas from their parents, their friends, their culture, without ever stopping to question whether these values truly resonate with them. But when you know yourself, truly know yourself, you take the time to examine your values. You ask yourself, what do I believe in? What's non-negotiable for me? What would I stand up for even if I stood alone? This is not always an easy process. Sometimes you might discover that the values you thought were yours were actually imposed on you by others. Sometimes you might find that your actions do not align with your true values, and that can be uncomfortable. But let me tell you, the clarity that comes from understanding your values is worth any discomfort. Because when you know your values, you have a compass to guide you through life's toughest decisions. Let me share a story to illustrate this. I once knew a man who had a high-paying job in an industry that, let's just say, was not known for its ethical practices. For years, he justified it to himself. It is just business, he'd say. Everyone does it. But deep down, he was unhappy. He couldn't quite put his finger on why, but there was this constant sense of unease, of discord in his life. One day, he decided to really examine his values. He spent time reflecting, journaling, really digging deep into what mattered most to him. And he realized that one of his core values was integrity, doing the right thing even when no one is watching. This realization hit him like a ton of bricks. He suddenly understood why he had been so unhappy. His actions, his career, his daily life, they were all in conflict with this core value of integrity. It was not an easy decision, but he chose to leave his job. He took a significant pay cut to work for a company that aligned with his values. And you know what? Despite the financial hit, he was happier than he'd ever been, because now he was living in alignment with his true self. That's the power of knowing your values. It allows you to make decisions that resonate with your core self, leading to a life of authenticity and fulfillment. Some of you might be thinking, this all sounds great, but I do not have time for all this self-reflection. I am too busy trying to make a living, raise my family, keep up with my responsibilities. I understand that feeling. Life is busy, and it often feels like we are just trying to keep our heads above water. But here's the truth. You can't afford not to know yourself. Imagine you are trying to drive to a specific destination, but you do not know where you are starting from. You do not have a map, you do not have a compass, you do not even know which direction you are facing. How likely are you to reach your destination? That's what life is like when you do not know yourself. You might be moving, you might be busy, but are you actually getting anywhere? Are you moving towards your true goals, or are you just running on a hamster wheel? Knowing yourself is not a luxury, it is a necessity. It is the foundation that everything else in your life is built upon. Your relationships, your career, your personal growth, all of these depend on your level of self-knowledge. How do we make time for self-discovery in our busy lives? Well, it starts with prioritization. We make time for what we truly value. If you value self-knowledge, you all find the time. But it does not have to be a huge time commitment. Start small, spend just 10 minutes a day in quiet reflection. Ask yourself one probing question each morning and ponder it as you go about your day. Keep a journal and jot down your thoughts when you have a spare moment. Remember, self-discovery is not something you do once and then you are done. It is a lifelong journey, a daily practice. Every day, you have the opportunity to learn something new about yourself, to dig a little deeper, to understand yourself a little better. Most people have no idea what they're truly capable of. They set their sights too low, they play it safe, they stay within their comfort zones. But when you really know yourself, you start to understand the vast potential that lies within you. You start to see possibilities where others see limitations. You start to dream bigger, reach higher, push further. I'm reminded of a story about a young athlete I once knew. When she first started training, she was average at best. She was not the fastest, she was not the strongest, she was not the most skilled. But she had one thing going for her. She was determined to know herself better than anyone else. She studied her body, learning exactly how it responded to different types of training. She examined her mind, understanding her mental strengths and weaknesses. She analyzed her emotions, figuring out what motivated her, what discouraged her, what pushed her to excel. And you know what? Over time, she transformed, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally too. She didn't just become a better athlete. She became a different person entirely. She discovered reserves of strength, endurance, and willpower that she never knew she had. She went from being an average athlete to breaking world records, all because she took the time to truly understand herself and her potential. Now, I'm not saying that self-knowledge will necessarily turn you into a world record-breaking athlete, but I am saying that when you truly know yourself, you unlock potential you never knew you had. You discover strengths you didn't realize you possessed. You find courage you didn't know was there. And this does not just apply to physical achievements. It applies to every area of your life. Your career, your relationships, your personal growth, all of these can be transformed when you tap into your true potential. Potential alone is not enough. Knowing your potential is just the first step. The next step is acting on that knowledge, pushing yourself to grow, to improve, to become the best version of yourself. This is where many people falter. They might recognize their potential, but they're afraid to act on it. They're comfortable where they are, and growth requires discomfort. It requires stepping out of your comfort zone, facing your fears, embracing failure as a learning opportunity. But my friends, this discomfort is where the magic happens. It is in those moments of challenge, of struggle, of pushing beyond what you thought you were capable of. That's where you truly discover who you are and what you are made of. I want you to think about something for a moment. Think about the person you were 5 years ago. Now think about who you are today. Are you the same person? And of course not. You have grown, you have changed, you have evolved.